Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ask Me Anything for November 11th, 2021 for the CrossFit Linchpin private track closed Facebook group. That's a mouthful. As you know, we do this every Thursday. Members submit questions, other members upvote them, and the most popular ones get answered live each week. So here we go. Let's dive right in. The first most upvoted question. Let's see. I actually think I forgot one about a pizza topping. Fun question, but it got some upvotes. Won't take long to answer. But the most upvoted one was from Nick B. Says, since it's Veterans Day, thanks to all the veterans for serving the country. I guess that's a bit U.S. specific. I don't know what the other holidays are around the world, but today in the United States, it's Veterans Day. Along those lines, do you have any traditions today that you weave into your pursuit of lifelong fitness or wellness, like a workout? Short answer, no, absolutely not. Nope. I don't know. No, never have, never do, never did. I do Murph when it's appropriate, but that's generally about it. And people have various traditions. Whatever you do, rock on. That's fantastic. It obviously could be a very uncomfortable or inappropriate or whatever the word is topic that somebody alive shouldn't try to speak for those that have lost their lives in service. That would obviously be inappropriate. However, all I can say is I have most certainly lost buddies over the years in various conflicts and whatnot, and I can't speak for them since they're not here anymore, but having known them for years and years, I have a gut feeling that if they were standing in front of me today on Veterans Day and I was in the midst of some grueling workout, that they would be like, whoa, 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 stop, what are you doing? Why are you suffering right now? I would much rather have you enjoy this wonderful life and place that you live and all that. What you should be doing is go throw a barbecue in your backyard and invite a bunch of friends and play some good music and share some fun stories and eat some delicious cheeseburgers or hot dogs and chips and have fun and crack open a cold adult beverage of your choice and relax and enjoy this amazing life that, some people have lost their lives to defend. But hey, stop suffering. Why are you working out? Go have a blast. I could be totally wrong, but from the people that I've known anyway, that's actually what, if somebody could speak, if something happened to me after the fact, I'd be like, hey, no, take a load off today, enjoy yourself. So, no, I don't do a workout on Veterans Day. Okay, next question from Chris R. Okay, so Chris, that question, let me scroll. There's a lot of questions here. Are you developing an engine/conditioning add-on program for Beyond the Whiteboard? It's on my to-do list. Has not begun. There are many things on the to-do list. I'm not going to say that it's on the top of the to-do list. I'm not going to say it's number 2 on the to-do list. But it's on the to-do list. I can promise you that. So it's in the queue, okay? Working on it. Can't give you time at this juncture. Can't tell you when. But yes, I'd absolutely love to do that, and it's on the list. I think it would be very, very beneficial. Next one. What is this? From Chris K. Oh, do you keep track of how many Linchpin athletes do each workout each day? The general answer to that is yes. Now, if you're asking me how many do the workout of the day, how many do the scaled, how many do the limited equipment, how many do the no equipment option, and now how many do the new wildcard option, I can't tell you exactly how that pie's split, precisely, but I can tell you from diving into that stuff every day through the Facebook group, Instagram, the squads feature on Beyond the Whiteboard, and then my Beyond the Whiteboard admin console features that I have as the program administrator to see who's posting what and all that. The workout of the day is by far, one of the most popular ones, and the limited equipment option, the dumbbell program, is profoundly popular as well. But it's split pretty nicely. There's a tremendous amount of people that do the scaled option, and then there's a huge amount of people that just through their own wonderful decisions and intellect look at the workout of the day, and it's just appropriate for them to change one or two things, and so they modify it to meet their needs. That happens a lot as well, which is awesome. So yeah, but I dive and live in those numbers and admin consoles every day. Okay, next one. Ooh, okay, this is a good one. This is from Brandon B. Brandon B. Where are you, sir? Brandon B. I'm scrolling. Brandon B. With recovery devices being so popular amongst CrossFit athletes and regular gym goers, do you have any of your own things you use to test and determine what you're capable of doing each day? Great question, basically about recovery devices. Here's what I'm going to say about that. Anyone interested in, first of all, I don't own a recovery device. I have absolutely no intentions on purchasing a recovery device. That is my just honest, straight shooting talk right there. I highly recommend, I would love to make it mandatory listening if I could. I can't, obviously. Anybody interested in that topic should go to E.C. Sinkowski, who runs Optimize Me Nutrition. She has a podcast called The Consistency Project. You need to listen to 2 episodes of The Consistency Project. They are specifically about recovery devices and things which quote-unquote measure recovery and then supposedly give you information to make good decisions. The 2 episodes are, one is called On Measuring Recovery to Optimize Performance. So again, the podcast is called The Consistency Project. And the first one you need to listen to, part 1, is On Measuring Recovery to Optimize Performance. And then part 2 is entitled On How to Predict Optimal Performance. On How to Predict Optimal Performance. And gotta listen to those. They're 2 30-minute episodes. They're so worth your time. It's unbelievable. What's fantastic about EC and that podcast is she doesn't have a dog in the fight. Okay? All she's interested in is she's one of those people that instead of just looking at the marketing, which is very clever and very beautiful and very enticing, and sponsored athletes, which have a big following, and then people think, well, if my favorite sponsored athlete does something, it must be true, right? It must be true. It couldn't be about the money. It must be true. She doesn't care about any of that. There's, a lot of things you can get to the bottom of by just following the money, and they won't necessarily lead you to results or truth. You just follow the money. But what you see, she actually will read all those boring studies and data that people cite, but no one's actually going to read. Who has the time to read all those different studies and see, is it correlation? Is it causation? What was the sample size? Was it actually meaningful to derive any results from? Is this really thin data, or is this good, hard facts? Is it being presented fairly? Nobody does that. What do we all do? Great marketing. Sign me up. Super cool YouTube commercial. Love your backstory. I'm bought in. My favorite big-time sponsored athlete with a huge Instagram following uses it. I'm going to use it too, and then I'm going to have similar results. You'll probably just have less money in your checking account. That's the actual truth about what probably is going to happen. So you've got to listen to those 2 podcast. That they're fantastic, and they can give you just far more insight and information than I ever possibly could right here. And people can get lost because some of these various things that are marketed, well, they've got, as EC mentions, they've got PhDs on staff. They have doctors on staff, scientists in white lab coats. They did experiments. Who are you, as a regular civilian, to ever question the PhDs on staff? So therefore, it must be true. Again, there's just so much. The sad truth well, it's not sad depending upon your outlook. I think it's fantastic. Because the truth is, which I always want to be about here at Linchpin, whether it's popular or not, sorry, I'm going to shoot you straight. The truth is, you don't need a lot to get fit. You really don't. You need to know what you're doing every day. Barbell and some bumper plates would be great. If you don't have that, a pair of dumbbells will suffice. I'd love to see a pull-up bar bolted onto the wall. And honestly, with just that, we can make beasts. Would I love to have a jump rope and some rings and a box and a med ball and a GHD? Sure, I'd love to. But if you told me all I have is a good pull-up bar bolted to the wall and a pair of dumbbells, or a good pull-up bar bolted to the wall, a barbell and some bumpers, guess what, my friend? You're set for the rest of your life. Surround yourself with a good crew. Understand all these concepts that we talk about every day, modulating intensity, how should you eat, etc., etc. And it's really not that complicated. But there's a lot of entities and organizations and businesses out there that are going to throw all kinds of wonderful marketing and graphs and apps and all these things. You're like, I must need this stuff. I must need it. I'm never going to get fit without this stuff. Look at all this science. Some of it might be true. That's the point. Some of it might be true. However, a lot of the stuff out there, sadly, in the fitness industry, and it's permeated into CrossFit because there's money to be made. And so a lot of stuff out there is really good marketing and nonsense or fluff. And I'm not saying that recovery trackers are or are not, but what I'm saying is you absolutely should not believe anything at face value. You should question the data and really look into it. It does not matter. If some athlete or person is telling you or organization that you should do it and they stand to financially gain from it, that should be immediately suspect. It does not mean that it's wrong. It could actually still be wonderful and true and an amazing life-changing product that you need to get immediately because boom, everything's going to be so much more wonderful. That could be true, but not necessarily. A lot of times when you follow the money, it's very telling. So don't take anything at face value, including what I'm saying. Period, end of story. Just because I say something, well, Pat says it, it's true. Critical thinking. If there's something that we can get across to as many people as possible, critical thinking. Don't just swipe the Visa card. Critical thinking is a wonderful, wonderful strength that I hope many of us continue to develop. So, yeah, that's it. Listen to those two podcasts. They're phenomenal. Okay. Favorite pizza topping? I don't mind a regular cheese. This is a question from, I can't remember who's from, but I feel like it should be from John W. Let me make sure that it is from John W. John, I knew it. Favorite pizza topping? I don't mind just a regular cheese, just a good classic cheese. But other than that, love a Hawaiian pizza and love a meatball. Fantastic. So any of those will do just fine. All right. One final quick question, and then we'll dive into the one that is kind of the meat and potatoes today. The last question, which is a relatively short one, is from Eric J. And Eric, where are you, sir? I thought you were down near the bottom here. Okay. Can you discuss what goes into working the desk at an event like the Rogue Invitational? For example, what kind of athlete research do you have to do? What are the rehearsals like? Is there a teleprompter or a script, etc.? Okay, so what goes into an event like the Rogue Invitational? A huge, tremendous amount of work behind the scenes that nobody ever sees, that takes place weeks or months in advance, depending upon what you're trying to do. Athlete research is extensive, and then you've got to create all these cheat sheets and things of that nature to make sure that you readily have access to that on the fly in real time as things are changing. So yes, there's a lot of athlete research that happens. The rehearsals are long. There's sometimes going to be a lot of standing around, but they're long, they're grinding. They're not necessarily the most fun, but they're incredibly valuable and beneficial. And like, for example, at the Rogue Invitational, we went live on Friday. Thursday was from bright and early in the morning till late at night, all day long, just running through stuff, for sure. And then let's see, what last part of your question? Is there a teleprompter or a script? There is no teleprompter. And there's not a script. So a script is, like you're in a movie. You write out your lines and you're going to say your lines. So there's no teleprompter and there's no script. What there is something called a rundown. And a rundown is just basically bullet points of that particular hit or show that you're going to do. So maybe you're doing a 15 or 20 minute hit, 15 or 20 minute show between events. In that 15 or 20 minute show, if you think of like a Google Doc, that 15-minute show could be 75 different line items of what the flow of the show is supposed to be, from the scenics, the open, welcome everyone back. After you welcome everyone back, you're going to recap what has happened over the last one day of competition. But that doesn't tell you what to say, it just says recap competition. Then after you recap competition, bring in leaderboard event 5. So it doesn't tell you what to say or do, it just says you have to bring in leaderboard event 5. After leaderboard event 5, you'll have a guest on the desk, engage guest, after the guest, and then you're going to bring up event number 6 description, talk about event number 6 description. After event number 6 description, give top female and male athletes you think will do well in event 6 and why. And so that's it. It doesn't tell you what to say on any of those things. It's just where the show has to go, the flow of the show. So it's not this random, chaotic, unorganized disaster. There's a flow that makes sense based upon the story you're trying to tell of the event, and that changes all the time based upon what's happening on the field, etc., etc. And is it day 1, day 2, day 3, or whatever. And then the other thing is each one of those bullet points or segments of the rundown that I just mentioned, you just can't do whatever you want on each one of those. Each one of those has a time window because, for example, maybe the next event starts in 15 minutes. So you are going to come on, you've got to be out in 15 minutes. So if you engage with the guest that's on the desk for longer than you should, well, now you might have screwed yourself over and you don't have time to call up the leaderboards and chat about what's going on. You don't have time to bring in the event description. You don't have time to throw down to an interview that Kiki Dixon did with somebody on the field to talk about what the key to success was. Everything has to happen, and it has to happen in a window. So every one of those events that I just said, next to it will also have a bunch of other information that might say this is 15 seconds for you to get in and get out of this. This is 35 seconds for you to get in and get out. You've got 3 minutes to discuss this. A leaderboard's going to be up. You've got 10 seconds for the leaderboard. Once the leaderboard gets out, this is coming up. You've got 25 seconds to do this. And that is just boom, 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 boom. So you've got this time markers, this running clocks all of this is happening live. Well, a live camera's on you, a live audience is watching. And so if you're on the desk, you got a lot going on. And so and there's also multiple cameras, camera 1, 2, or 3, and those change based upon whether it's a tight shot or a wide shot or whatever it happens to be. So you need to make sure, and then there's a guest maybe, so you need to make sure you're looking at the camera you're supposed to look at, and that changes from a wide shot to a tight shot. And then when you engage the guest, you look over, you check out the guest, and then you've got audio, earphones on, and in the earphones, you get your laptop open as well, and your laptop has that rundown in front of you that you're trying to make sense of where you are right now. How long can I be where I am? Where am I going after this? What's happening? Is there a package or a graphic or an interview coming up? Well, what is that? What's my lead-in going to be that makes sense to that? You're all trying to do that in real time during a live broadcast while talking out loud. You also have to be reading and thinking about where you're going while you're saying something else. And then if you're talking to a guest, well, you have to be actually somehow paying attention to what that guest is saying while they're talking to you. Well, then in your ear, you've got your earphones on. Your producer is talking to you in your ear while the guest is talking to you, while you're talking to the guest, while you're reading your laptop, trying to figure out where you're going, while there's a leaderboard on, while you're making sure that you're on the right camera. And that producer might be telling you that something just changed in the show. Hey, this is taking longer than we think. Item number 111, cancel 111, move 121 to 111 right now. Then we're going to take 2 minutes there instead of 90 seconds, and we're going to get that extra 30 seconds in at the end of the show, and this is what's going to happen. And that's all coming into your ear live while you're talking, while you're doing something else. It is a crazy, wonderful, stressful, beautiful, bizarre symphony that most people don't know what's going on, really. They just see a couple people at the desk talking about CrossFit or talking about powerlifting or talking about strongman. To be honest with you, talking about the athletes is the easiest part of that job. It's all the other stuff that I just mentioned that makes doing live broadcast so darn tough. All that stuff that nobody does. So it's not just like, well, so-and-so knows a lot about CrossFit. Throw them up there. It's like, you might be throwing somebody to the wolves, because there's a lot that goes on to do that, and it's a unique environment. So anyway, yeah, it's quite something, and it's very challenging and tough on a good show, on like good 15 or 20 minute hit. When everything goes right, it's really challenging based upon everything that I just said. You earn your money there for sure. Where you really earn your money is when things go wrong or change on the fly. There's nothing like, and I'm speaking from experience, being 5 minutes into a 15-minute hit, and you've hitting your pace, you're going where you need to go, and something happens. Some events, the competitions have surprise events, and this changes, and the athletes didn't know, and all of a sudden, everything, the producer comes in your ear, and you're like, disregard the entire rest of the show. Something's happening live on the field right now. We're not sure what it is. We need to figure this out and cover it. And then you're standing there live in front of the audience, having a small nuclear meltdown in your head, but you can't let the audience know that. And so now you are professionally tap dancing, if you will, to keep everything interesting and flowing and smooth, while everything in your ear is chaos, trying to figure out what's going on. And then in real time, you start building a new show in real time, live. That is what makes working in media interesting. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot going on there. Okay, final question, which I left to the end, even though it was based upon just the upvoting. I should have answered it earlier, but I think this is going to take not a ton of time, but the most time, so I wanted to leave it to the end as a good closer. It's from Matthew S. So his question is involving long-term health and fitness, a subject that I'm passionate about. He basically says, how is improving my back squat now at 35 years old helping my 85-year-old self to stand up from his chair? How is improving my 400-meter sprint time now helping my 75-year-old self to jog and catch the bus? I'm referring to a previous discussion that occurred on the sickness, wellness, fitness continuum, considering that a fit individual now would be more capable of these things later in life, etc., etc. Then he's got a follow-up great question, which is, once we've reached a certain goal, so for example, let's say your goal is a double body weight back squat. Once we've reached a certain goal, how do we choose between sustaining that capacity for as long as possible or working to improve it? Awesome question. Fantastic question. Okay. Here we go. So, long-term health and fitness. How do they help? Kind of consider your fitness, your GPP, your general physical preparedness, your work capacity across broad time modal domains. What can you do? Fitness. We're all saying the same things right there. Kind of think of your fitness as like a savings account, if you will. You're going to making deposits and trying to grow that savings account as much as you can. Get as much in there as you can. So that when the time comes that you stop working, let's say, and you need to live for years on your savings, well, the more that you had in there, the longer you're going to be able to live a wonderful life. Whereas if you didn't make a lot of deposits in that savings account and you stop working, things are going to deteriorate rather quickly. So kind of the same deal with fitness. And if you think of like a chart or a graph or a curve, right? We used to say that you want to have as much area under the curve. So you want to, if you're charting your fitness, you want it to be really high, and you want to have as much fitness, as much work capacity as you can, achieve the highest level of fitness intelligently that you can without overtraining yourself, tweaking your back and your knees because you try to do too much loading, too much volume, whatever. So you're improving your fitness in a sustainable, intelligent, long-term manner to the best of your ability. And then down the road, and this happens to all of us, whether we want to admit it or not, doesn't matter how much of a bad mamma jamma you are right now, you eventually will not be. Okay? It's life takes its toll, you start to slow down, even though you're working out. This may happen depending upon your background. It could be in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. It's a little bit different for each person, but there will come a time where, kind of like Matthew's saying, your back squat will go down every year. Your Fran time will get slower every year. If you started cross in your 20s or 30s or even your 40s, every year you might be deadlifting more, back squatting more. Your Helen time's quicker, your Fran time's quicker. You're getting more rounds of Cindy in 20 minutes. Great. And then you keep doing it, you keep doing it, and now you're 51, you're 52, or 61, 62. Again, it's different for each person, but there will come a time in every single one of our lives where it goes from this nice steady gaining, improving, nice steady gaining, nice steady improving, to plateauing. So there's different things that you want to try. Got to make hay when the sun's shining, right? So if things are good right now and you're improving, well, you want to continue to improve for as long as possible through smart decisions in the gym, scaling when appropriate, eating good food, getting rest, not tweaking yourself, not unnecessarily overtraining for no reason, disregarding dumb things that you see on Instagram, and just keep putting money in the bank. Fitness money in the bank. Improving, improving, improving. When that time comes, different for all of us, that you now kind of feel like you've been plateauing or you're sustaining, you're in that season of your life, well, then the goal becomes, through intelligent training, to sustain what you have for as long as possible and try your very best to prevent the inevitable decline. A decline is inevitable. Over the course of years or decades, you will not back squat at 85 what you did at 35, right? So there is going to be a decline. Anyone who tells you otherwise is lying to you or selling something. But the goal becomes, when you plateau, now, are you plateauing just because you've been getting poor sleep and your nutrition's been junk and you're missing workouts? That's different. But if everything's in line and you're now just at that season of life that the plateau is there, well, the goal becomes to maintain for as long as possible, prevent that inevitable decline. And then when it does start to decline, the goal is to make that decline as gradual as possible, not a steep, sharp falling off the edge of the cliff, as gradual as possible, meaning you still want to maintain for as long as possible the highest level of fitness possible, which is the highest level of work capacity, which, just talking in regular human terms, the ability to live life. Functional movements are what you need to do to pick things up off the ground, to locomote yourself from point A to point B, to go from a seated position to a standing position, to get yourself off the ground, to carry things. All the things that you need to do to actually live life. You want to make sure you're as good at those as possible for as long as possible, because that keeps you out of places that you don't want to be, like an assisted living home, a nursing home, or some place that when you see them, they don't fill your face with joy and you're like, man, I can't wait to be in the nursing home every day. Most people don't say that. So you want to have a high quality of life, be able to live independently as long as you can, and that happens years before in the training that we're doing. The good news is all of those things are accomplished relatively the same way, whether you're in the building phase, the maintaining phase, or the trying to keep the decline as gradual as possible. It's accomplished with deliberate, intelligently designed workouts with variance, appropriate intentional variance, relative intensity based upon the athlete's physical and psychological tolerances, functional movements, because those are the ones you need that produce a lot of power and therefore can yield that intensity, giving you results. Functional movements are also what you need to stay out of the nursing home and live life, so we need those as well. You're going to be going heavy relative to your capabilities of where you are in the world. You're going to modify workouts as needed. You're going to scale when appropriate. You can do all that awesome stuff. All of that stuff is what you need to do to have success in the building phase, in the sustainment phase, and in the trying to make the decline as gradual as possible phase. So that's the good news. Here is where potentially an oversimplification of building capacity, putting that money in the fitness bank so that years down the road you have that capacity, can be misconstrued. So yes, I'm saying that if you are squatting right now and you are strengthening your squat, that's going to allow you for far more years than somebody who is not strengthening their squat to raise yourself from a seated to a standing position for longer in life. Yes, absolutely. That's why we're doing that. That can be misconstrued into, okay, well, getting the biggest back squat possible must then mean I'll have the highest quality of life possible and be able to take myself from a seated to a standing position for far more years than anyone else. Within reason. Because if your goal now becomes some monstrous back squat or a 1,000 pound deadlift, to like one of the most elite powerlifters or strongmen in the world, because you took that message to be the biggest squat, the biggest deadlift wins, I'm here to tell you just my 2 cents, and this is not a character assassination on anybody. This is just me trying to be truthful and real. I've seen some people that have 1,000-pound deadlifts. I don't, so they're quote-unquote stronger in squats, 700-800-pound squats. What they've had to do to their bodies to get there, I don't think is going to yield a high quality of life in their golden years. I actually think quite the opposite. So it's not this absolute statement, right? There's nuance and context to it. What we're trying to do, and what will prevent just that, trying to get the 800-pound squat because, well, then I'll be the healthiest 85-year-old in the world. No. That's not fitness. Fitness is work capacity across broad time modal domains. It's monostructural conditioning. It's body weight movements. It's gymnastics. It's variance. That's why I'm not saying get as strong as you can. I'm saying get as much fitness, improve your fitness as much as you can. And that will yield, to the best of our knowledge, the highest quality of life down the road as possible. And that's what we want. Had a bunch of stuff written down, but then I just kind of went into a rant right there. My apologies. I blacked out. Let's see. And, and training may look different. I very much hope that I'm still working out at 78 years old. But it will look very different. I still want to be doing functional movements because I understand what that is. But my intensity, because it's going to be relative to my capacity, is going to be a whole heck of a lot less lower at 77 than it is right now, because intensity is relative to the individual. So I'd still like to get a little huff and puff going on, break a little sweat, touch some external objects, the same general concepts that I'm doing right now, but with intellect modified for the phase of life that I'm at that particular time. And this question, Matthew, I love it. I adore it. And it is quintessential CrossFit, quite frankly, and it's quintessential CrossFit linchpin. That is what we are all about. This is one of the most important topics that everybody should be thinking of, and that is why we train the way that we do. That's why we're into long-term health and fitness. That's why we tell you things like the accessory work is optional, more is not better, you shouldn't crush yourself with heavy weight every day. I truly, in my heart and soul, think that those are really, really short-sighted, poor decisions that might look really cool this year or next year on Instagram, and I don't think they will serve you well as the decades pass. And so, yes, that's why we do what we do. Okay. Oh, Mo, see you there. Sorry. Yeah, doesn't involve hanging out with friends. Oh, Mo must be talking about the question about the Rogue Invitational. The BTWB crew was at the Rogue Invitational, enjoying the event, feet kicked up, having a blast, and I was working, and I was very jealous that they were having a blast. I didn't even get to see them. That's how long the work days were. Okay, let's do 3 linchpin shout-outs to finish this up. First one is, I entitled it Education, Short on Time Modification. Let's see what that means. This is from Derek B. Short on time modification of today's EMOM. Only had about 20 minutes to warm up and do the workout. I considered making the workout a 4-rounder, but figured that by using it as an AMRAP, I'm guaranteed to get in some work and get in the gym and out of the gym in under 20 minutes. Hit the stimulus and was not shortchanged. Again, education is so critical, and that's why we do what we do at Linchpin, right? There's the whole give a person a fish every day or teach them to fish. And yeah, I give you a fish every day. There's 5 different workout options, right? But all these conversations that we have, that's the other side of the coin, the teaching you all how to fish for yourself. So when you have to change something, you know how to do it. And Derek did that. It was an EMOM. He didn't have time to hit the whole EMOM. I think it was 32 minutes. He chopped it up into manageable chunks, made it a 20-minute AMRAP, got in a wonderful workout. That makes me so happy. Mission accomplished. We have a smart community. Next one is entitled Real Community. This is from Nicholas M. And anyone who's active in the Facebook page knows that Nicholas M. is our wonderful friend up in Canada that no matter what's happening every day, snaps a photo of himself with the most amazing smile that just fires everybody up every day. Nicholas says, okay, I sincerely don't write this to get more birthday wishes. It was his birthday a while ago. But you guys are such a great, beautiful community. I received more birthday wishes from this group of people that I basically only know through my phone and computer than I did from my actual friends. You are truly amazing. Don't ever change, Linchpin. Love you all. Thank you. That's awesome. And final one is entitled I Suffer, You Suffer, Real Life. This is from Cindy M. She says, so I was lying down, futzing through Linchpin, familiarizing myself with the group and the app, and I stumbled onto Coach Pat moaning and groaning through today's workout live. I can't tell you how much it helped me to hear that he was tired, busy, had a mess of family responsibilities, and yet he's still out there just doing the same thing as the rest of us. Nothing keeps me from training consistently more than mommy guilt, and I feel like I didn't quote unquote do it right. But I think I'd rather start doing things this way. Light bulb moments, and I'm only a week into Linchpin. Thanks for the inspiration. Now I'm going to go run in the rain, sorry. So yeah, right there with you. It's the thing I love about Linchpin, right? We're all in this together. Life is a team sport. It's better with a community. We're all busy. We got stuff going on. If you have to modify or scale the workout, that's not a wasted workout. That's a win. That's a victory. That's a huge success. It should be celebrated. So that's what we do. We pick each other up. Somehow my baby has stayed asleep during all of this. I'm looking at the baby monitor right now. That's incredible. So I'm going to get while the getting's good, because she's probably due to wake up any time now. Real life responsibilities. Enjoy your rest day. Wonderful Linchpin community. And we'll talk again later.